Hello, welcome to another episode of our live stream, My Journey to the Trinity. I'm getting more Christmassy as time moves on. You know what? I think Pinky needs to move to a more ideal situation here. Um, so yes, um, today I kind of I was just reading. Hello, Abla, God bless you. It's actually reading some Razi, Fakhruddin Razi. Um, I just was kind of interested in what Fakhruddin Razi. Now, he was a Muslim scholar, um, and so but he interestingly often uh, community post. Okay, I don't know. I'm not sure where I don't know how to where the community post would be. Is that on Facebook? Um, okay. I'm not sure exactly what community post is. The rightmost tab of your YouTube account. Oh, okay. I will go ahead and look at that just a little bit later and I'll find it. Okay. 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 Thank you. Thank you. All right. Well, hello, Abla. Hello, Jack Ray. Hello, Houston Euler. God bless you guys. And I've got a much more festive, Christmassy look today than I usually do. Um, so, yes, my wife bought candy canes, so that's why there's candy canes. So, all right. Well, I'm going to look at something. I don't know how long we'll be on tonight. I'm kind of hoping that a Muslim guy from India. There was a Muslim guy from India who came on a few nights ago when Adam Seeker and Yusuf Mughallaq were here. And he started talking. He had some questions, and so we were talking, and so I wanted him to. It was a little too late because I had to go to work the next day, so I wasn't able to talk to him very long. So he said he was going to come back, so I hope he'll come back tonight. If not, keep on trying. So anyway, but in the meantime, I wanted to look at something Fakhruddin. Now, first of all, let me just tell you who this is. Who is Fakhruddin? I think you guys all know. I've heard. I've talked about him. Um, I've talked about him before, and Fakhruddin Razi is a 12th century theologian, for 10th century physician. Uh, okay, no, okay. Um, Known by the sobriquet Sultan of the Theologians, um, influential Muslim polymath meaning he did everything. He was a scientist, he's a teacher, all the stuff. Pioneers of inductive logic. Okay, so that's one thing that he had that is unique to a lot of the so-called scholars of Islam. A lot of them have lots of opinions and religiosity and all that, but they don't have um, logic. But Fakhruddin Razi, every now and then, excuse me, he says stuff that is logical. And so, for instance, one of my favorite things that he says, once a book has been widely distributed, it is impossible to corrupt it. He says, once a book has been widely distributed, it's impossible to corrupt it. This kind of flies in the face of the Muslim belief that the Bible has been corrupted. The Bible has been distributed all over the world. Um, Let me just see. Okay. Okay, what I'm looking for, I'm not finding, but let me see if I just don't know if this is going to say it, but okay, I don't know if Bible is the most influential book in the world that has been translated to thousands of languages, read by billions of people across the globe. Print, expensive invention. Okay. Um, okay, I'm not sure if I'm going to be able to find that out right now, but the thing that he said is that once a book is the fact that wide distribution and circulation of a book makes it impossible to corrupt or alter. Thank you, Abdullah here saying Razi, 1210 AD, made argument to the effect that wide distribution and circulation of a book makes it impossible to corrupt or alter. Which is a pretty amazing thing for a Muslim to say, because Muslims believe the Bible's been corrupted. Well, if that's the case, that would mean that whoever the corrupter is, he would have to travel to every single church in the world, corrupt every single Bible. And Christianity had spread all over the world by now, by the time Muhammad came along. And so he's saying it would be impossible to corrupt it. I mean, practically impossible. So, so that's pretty bold statement to make, about Islam. That one of its core beliefs is practically, uh, practically ridiculous, to say that it's been corrupted. Okay, but they still believe it regardless. And but there's another. And to tell you the truth, we're going to read this together and just see what he says about the crucifixion. Um, Uthman, he tried to, but he didn't really. And there weren't as many books back then in the time Muhammad as there are now. And, he didn't get all of them. A lot of them survived. Razi said that the Trinity of Christian is incarnate. Well, he wasn't a Christian scholar, and I'm definitely not at all a proponent of any of his theology regarding Christianity. Any Muslim, I reject their theology of Christianity. But his criticism of Islam is where he's kind of interesting. I think some of what he says about Islam's beliefs is interesting. So let's just look at this. Um, and I think let me see here. Okay, this is what Razi says about the crucifixion. The belief, let's just read it from up here. It says, most Muslim exegetes, both in the classic era and the modern age, inferred from this phrase of substitution. Accordingly, Jesus was not crucified, but somebody was substituted in his place, perhaps one of the disciples or Judas, who betrayed him, or Simon of Cyrene, who helped him carry the cross. It's an absurd belief. It's a belief of Gnostics. There were some Gnostics. Most of what Muhammad believed, even the crazy stuff, came from before Muhammad. It came from the Gnostics, or as we've been discovering recently, the Talmud. I mean, we've always known that he got stuff from the Talmud, but apparently he got a lot of stuff from the Talmud and from the Gnostic Gospels and just other mythologies that were floating around in his time, including the idea that Jesus spoke when he was a baby. And so, but this idea of somebody else being crucified besides Jesus, that actually comes from a guy, Basilius or something like that. This was long before Islam, that this ridiculous Gnostic belief that Jesus is called the laughing Jesus, where it says that, as they were going towards the crucifixion, the guy who was carrying the cross, Jesus was, somebody was carrying the cross, and that Jesus kind of just zaps himself up to a tree, and then he turns the guy who is carrying the cross into his image. He just does this magic trick and makes him look like himself, like Jesus. And that guy gets crucified, and Jesus is up in the tree laughing. It's a satanic, so wicked. I mean, how does the human mind come up with this kind of garbage? But it's very similar to what Islam teaches, that somebody else was made to look like Jesus, and that person was crucified. That's kind of an old. Muhammad didn't come up with it. He didn't come up with nothing. He was called the ear because he took everything from someone, and so this belief was not unique, was not original with Muhammad. But if you base your belief on what the Quran says, it's very unclear what the Quran says. It says they did not kill him or crucify him. It was made to appear so to them. And so they're kind of, the whole faith about the crucifixion is that phrase, it was made to appear so. Somebody was made to look like him. That's how they take it. But that's not really what it says. Even in the Arabic, it was made to appear so to them. Okay, what does that mean? Okay, nobody really knows what it means. Nobody knows what exactly happened. And, they have this, they teach and they believe that somebody else was made to look like Jesus and that person was crucified. But the Quran doesn't really say that. The Quran doesn't really say that. And so Fakhruddin Razi, who does apply some logic, to Islam's teaching, and to where, and so he has criticisms of what Muslims believe. The Jack Ray is making a very significant point here. Make a cookware company called the Gnostic Cookware. The coding formula is a secret. See, now you see, people just come up with very amazing thoughts. Okay. Okay. Gnostic cookware. Now, I think my wife would really like that. No, no, not the Gnostic part, but the Gnostic cookware. So, all right, let's look. Okay, let's look at this just to read it, and we're reading this together. So I haven't read the whole thing, but I read enough of it to be interested by it. So let's look here what he says. Okay. Okay. So it says, perhaps one of the disciples, Judas Iscariot, who betrayed him, or Simon the Cyrene, who helped him carry the cross. Yet this substitution theory, which is still the almost standard view among Muslims today, raises a lot of questions. Fakhreddin Razi, the medieval scholar, addressed some of them frankly in his major exegesis of the Quran. This is what Fakhreddin Razi said. God was no doubt capable of delivering Jesus from the hands of his enemies by simply taking him up to heaven. He first reminded, "What then?" he asked. "Is the purpose of casting his likeness onto another man except to condemn an innocent man to death to no purpose?" He also made the following observation, which is in fact a good reminder for all religious believers that their arguments against rival tradition can turn back on themselves. All Christians in the world, with their great love for Jesus and their, I don't know if this is a criticism of Christianity now, they witnessed him being crucified and killed. If they were to deny this, we would cast doubt on the principle of tawatur, universally accepted transmission. Casting down on this principle would also necessitate casting down on the prophethood of Muhammad and Jesus, and even on the very existence, as well as the existence of all other prophets. That would be untenable. Okay, that interesting. Okay, but the thing is that from what Razi says, that Allah is, or God is capable of delivering Jesus from the hand of the enemy. And then he asks, what then? Okay, what then is the purpose of casting his likeness on another man? See, this right here is the key question. Okay, so if you ask any Muslim, why did Allah do this little magic trick? They'll say, well, it was to save Isa from crucifixion. Well, he had already saved him, according to what the Muslims believe. According to what the Muslims believe, there was a circle in the roof, a hole opened up in the roof, and Isa was taken up through that hole in the roof. And some little kid was made to look like Jesus. And that kid was taken and crucified. And so, the question that Fakhreddin Razi asks here is very important. He says, what then is the purpose of casting his likeness onto another man? All right, so he's already rescued. He's already up in heaven, far away from the crucifiers and the Romans and the Jews and everybody. What was the purpose then of making somebody else look? See, this is where Fakhreddin Razi asks logic. He applies logic. He thinks about what the Muslims believe and just applies a little bit of logic to it. He says, you know what? What is the purpose of this? What's the purpose of making this guy look like Jesus and having him be crucified? What's the purpose? What's the logic? What's the justice? What's the purpose of that? If that's he was already rescued, so he doesn't need to do this torment this poor kid And it was a kid, because if you read the Ibn Kathir version, supposedly Isa came back to the house when they were trying to kill him, and he goes, "Okay, which one of you wants to be made to look like me? Okay, and I'm gonna go up to heaven because I can't endure such pain, and you're gonna endure the pain for me, but you're gonna go straight to paradise when you're done." So Isa was, made out to be this kind of coward who's trying to get away from the pain of crucifixion, and the kid was made to appear like Isa, and he was crucified. Hello, Tiger. God bless you. And so, but Fakhruddin and Razi says, what then is the purpose of casting his likeness on another man? What was the purpose? He was already rescued. He was already rescued. What is the purpose of doing this? And just to tell you another thing that Fakhruddin Razi says, he says that it's actually quite absurd. It's quite absurd for Allah to make somebody look like somebody else. It happens a lot in the Quran. It happens a lot in Islam. Okay, because one time Satan was made to look like Jibreel, and Jibreel was made to look like Satan. So there was this shape shifting happened a lot. And then, they say Isa was made to look like someone was made to look like Isa. And there's also the situation where Jibreel was made to look like Dahi al-Kalbi, and Dahi al-Kalbi is made to look like Jibreel. And so there's a lot of this shape shifting going on in Islam. It's a strange phenomenon, and you see quite a bit of it. And well, Jibreel, Satan once came to Muhammad like Jibreel, and Muhammad believed it was Jibreel, and so yeah. And so the question, but the thing that Fakhruddin Razi said is, he said, if Allah was to begin this mysterious magical trick with people and start changing the appearance of people. And so you'd be talking to your wife, and then all of a sudden, she's made to look like, Joe Pesci, or, Leonardo DiCaprio. It's just like, one thing Fakhruddin Razi says, you can never trust anything. If Allah were to start that, you could not trust anything, because at any moment, the person you're talking to might be somebody else. He says it's a ridiculous belief, and yet Muslims believe it. And when I was a Muslim, I believed it. Okay, when I was a Muslim, I believed it too. And but just think about it. It doesn't make sense. It's inconsistent with God's character to do something like that. God is all powerful. He could do everything, but he doesn't do things that are contrary to his character, contrary to who he is and what he is. But this is something contrary to what he is. And it's really a very cruel and wicked thing. Make somebody who's innocent. And in the case of Ibn Kathir's tafsir, he was a little kid, because none of the disciples agreed to what Isa wanted. None of the grown men wanted to go through with this, but this little kid did. And the kid said, "Oh, I'll do it." And so, Isa was rescued. The purpose is to rescue Isa. He was rescued. Why did he have to put somebody's appearance on someone else? Okay, why did he have to put Isa's appearance on someone else? Okay, that's a question. I wish we had a Muslim here. Okay, why did Allah have to do that? Asa was rescued, mission accomplished. Why did he have to do that? And I really wish we had a Muslim on right now who'd come on and explain it to us if you know why Allah had to do this. I will tell you that this situation is very similar to what happened to Muhammad. And I've talked about this before, but when Muhammad was trying to flee from Mecca because they were coming to get him, I think they wanted to kill him. And when they were coming to get him, to try to kill him, what Muhammad did is he put, I believe it was Ali, his future son-in-law, who was a little kid. He was still a little kid. And Muhammad told them, go ahead and sleep in the bed as if you're me. And then Muhammad fled at night to Medina. So Muhammad fled on his way to Medina, but he left Ali in his bed to where when they came looking for Muhammad, they would see someone in his bed and think it was Muhammad and possibly kill the kid, okay, because people thought it was Muhammad. So it's kind of got the same feeling as what Muhammad is saying happened to Jesus. Okay, it's kind of crazy. It's a crazy story, but it did happen to Muhammad too, with Ali. And so it's like he kind of is trying to project onto Jesus his horrible sin that he endangered the life of this kid, Ali, to rescue his own skin. Okay, he was the coward. He's the one who did this. Okay, let me see if I could find this. Let me see if I can find this story to show you. Let me see if I could ask Grok. See if Grok knows this. When Muhammad fled to Medina from Mecca, he let Ali, his future son-in-law, stay in his bed, endangering the life of Ali in order to get away. Where can I find this story?
It's in the earliest Muslim biographies, like Ibn Ishaq's Sirat Rasul Allah, and later works, like Al-Tabari's History. Check Islamic libraries or online translations. Wikimedia has free versions. Want me to summarize it?
Yes.
So, during the Hijrah, Muhammad snuck out of Mecca at night to avoid assassins. He asked Ali to sleep in his bed, wearing his cloak, so the enemies would think Muhammad was still there. Ali risked his life for it. Super loyal move. Muhammad made it to a cave outside town, then headed to Medina.
Doesn't that make Muhammad a coward?
Depends how you look at it. He was outnumbered, facing death threats from Mecca's leaders. Slipping away strategically kept the mission alive. Ali volunteering shows trust, not betrayal. But yeah, endangering your own guy? Kinda harsh. Faith often paints it as divine plan. History's messy like that.
I think you're being too nice. Muhammad endangered the life of that kid to save his own skin.
I hear you. Ali was young, maybe 18. And yeah, Muhammad put him in real danger. The sources say Ali offered, but still, using your cousin like a decoy does feel selfish if you strip away the religious spin. History rarely gives clean heroes.
Jesus would have never done anything like that.
Fair point. Jesus often flipped the script on violence, like turning the other cheek or dying on the cross willingly. He didn't dodge threats the way Muhammad did. But context matters. Jesus wasn't building a community under siege. Muhammad was escaping execution to lead one. Both took risks, just differently.
Wow, you are really trying to help Muhammad look good here.
Not at all. Just giving the full picture. I'm not defending him. I'm saying his choices made sense back then, if you're dodging assassins and starting a religion.
It does
Jesus
not
had a
make
different-
sense to endanger your own cousin, a little boy. It does not make sense, no matter what you say.
I get why you'd say that. It looks ruthless, especially with Ollie being so young. No sugarcoating. Using someone close as bait feels wrong. Full stop. But the old texts say Ollie insisted, knowing the stakes. Doesn't mean it wasn't callous. Just shows loyalty in that era was wild.
Wow. So there you go. It was there. Muhammad did, and so Muhammad kind of foisted this on to Isa, to where um, Isa supposedly did the same thing, according to Muhammad, because they're saying that Isa asked this kid, if you read Ibn Kathir, um, let me see, where is the, I had this opened already, but let me see if I can get this. Put it on next. I'm pretty sure it's Ibn Kathir. Let me go to the commentaries. Okay, let me see if I could do this. 457. The crimes of the Jews. They said that they killed Jesus. Okay. Ibn Abbas stated the Jews. Okay. Okay, then Jesus says. Okay, here it is. This is unbelievable. This is what Muhammad did, and he foisted it. He wanted to, this is what Muhammad did frequently, is that he would, when he did something really disgusting, he would blame all the other prophets for it. Like when the satanic verses thing happened, and he was, used by Satan to say things against Allah. There's a verse in the Quran that says, "Oh, don't worry, Muhammad. Whenever in the past we've inspired some messenger, Satan cast words into their mouth, but Allah takes out what Satan casts in. What it brings everybody else down to his filthy level." But even so, here, let's see this. This is about Isa, according to Ibn Kathir. Even so, the Jews were not satisfied, and they went to the king of Damascus, said Isa could not live in that city. Okay. Uh, at that time, a Greek polytheist who worshipped the stars. They told him there was a man at Beit Mikdash misguiding the people. The king became angry and wrote to his deputy in Jerusalem to arrest the rebel leader, stop him from causing unrest, crucify him, and make him wear a crown of thorns. Yay. Then the king's deputy in Jerusalem received these orders and went with some Jews to the house where Isa was residing. He was with 12, 13, or 17 of his companions. Allah never knows. The same way he doesn't know how many sleepers in the cave there were. That day was Friday in the evening. They surrounded the house. When he felt that they would soon enter the house, or that he would sooner or later have to leave it, he said to his companions, "Who volunteers to be made to look like me, for which he will be my companion in paradise?" A young man volunteered. Isa thought he was too young. He asked the question a second and third time. Each time, the young man volunteering prompted Isa to say, "Well, then it will be you." Allah made the young man look exactly like Isa, while a hole opened in the roof of the house, and Isa was made to sleep and ascended to heaven while asleep. And so, you got these kids. So they took the kid, okay? And it says that the man, those surrounding the house, saw the man who was made to look like Isa. They thought he was Isa. So they took him and crucified him and placed a crown of thorns on his head. The Jews then boasted that they killed Isa, and some Christians accepted their false claim due to their ignorance and lack of reason. Lack of reason. As for those who were in the house, with Isa, they witnessed his ascension to heaven, while the rest thought that the Jews killed Isa by crucifixion. It's even said that Mary sat under the corpse of the crucified man and cried, and they say that the dead man spoke to her. All this was a test from Allah for his servants. What? How crazy, man! How insane! The more you read it, the more insane it becomes, man. The more you read it, the more insane it becomes. And so Fakhruddin Razi is saying, dude, this is a crazy story. You guys, you got to come up with something better than this. You got to come up with something better than this. This is so ridiculous. Okay. And, this reminds me also, okay, I know you guys have seen this before. This right here, we've shown this before, but I think what this guy says too, he really makes a lot of sense. Even though he's a Muslim, he's Shiite, but I tell you, it makes a lot more sense.
Do to make it appear that he died. Let me warn you. And my language is sometimes very harsh because that's the only language some people can understand. Don't come with this nonsense, because it is not only pathetic nonsense, it is absolutely sinful to say that Allah, Allah calls someone else to take the appearance of Nabi Isa alayhi salam, and that innocent man, innocent because he never claimed to be the Messiah, he was crucified. Wait for judgment day with that nonsense. Pathetic nonsense. It's not there in the Quran, it's in your imagination. That's why it is. And yet it took the world of Islam by storm. What a brainwash ummah we are today. Well, then what happened?
Okay, so yeah, this pathetic, it just, and it's interesting that so many Muslims throughout the centuries have agreed and said, dude, this is one crazy story, and it's so inconsistent with what they claim about Allah. And the Quran doesn't really say that that's what happened. And so, anyway, so Shaykh Fakhruddin Razi, like I said, every now and then he says something that I gotta admit I like. And, his question here: what then is the purpose of casting his likeness onto another man, except to condemn an innocent man to death to no purpose, for no reason whatsoever, just to kill that, and a very painful, shameful death, doing that for no reason, because they already, according to their belief, there was a hole in the roof and he went up, or Isa did. Okay. But the Muslims still believe this crazy story of this exchange. The crazy story of this exchange. And so, I don't think I would be talking about it with this kind of persistence, except that I remember I believed it too. I was a Muslim, I believed it too. And yet that belief will send people to hell. That belief will send people to hell because Jesus on the cross is our salvation. And there's no salvation any other way except through the blood that was shed on that cross. And so Muslims, I'm not making fun of you. Muslims, I'm not making fun of what you believe in. I'm just showing you, number one, you got all these Muslims who don't agree with you that that's what happened, that somebody was made to look like Isa and that innocent kid was crucified. A lot of Muslims don't believe that. It doesn't make sense. And if it doesn't make sense, you should not rest your eternal soul on it. You should not rest your eternal soul on it. And I know Muslims are very sincere, but sincerely wrong. Thank you, Tiger. Sincerely deceived. I know, I was one of them. It's not like, and so that's why just want to, beg Muslims to do what Fakhruddin Razi here did. He just applied a little bit of logic and thought about it. Do what Imran Hussein says. He says, it's pathetic, this belief that, because who is implicated who's implicated in this crazy story? Who's the real criminal in this story? Is it the Jews? No. Is it the Romans? No. Is it Isa? No. Who's the real criminal? Allah is. He's the one who did that little magic trick to deceive everybody. You want the link to that? Okay. Oh, I see what you're saying. Okay. Here's the link. If there is any Muslims here who would like to come up, we'd love to have you come up and help us understand. If there's any Muslim, here's the link. You're welcome to come up. And I just want to tell you also that I'm streaming on today is the first time that I'm doing a complete live stream here on Twitch. Usually I do live streams on Facebook and YouTube, but today we're doing it on Facebook, YouTube, and Twitch. It's the first time I'm doing it on Twitch. I'm kind of hoping that maybe that will get a little bit more. I'd love to do it on TikTok. I don't know how. I don't know how to get on TikTok. I've tried looking for the RTMP number or whatever it is. I don't know how to do that. I'm going to keep trying. And if I do get to it, I'll bring that up too. It'll be great to be able to go on TikTok as well. So, but anyway, today is the first day that we're actually on Twitch, which is kind of exciting. I'm kind of actually, excuse me a second here while I look at the Twitch. I'm just kind of curious what it's like. Okay. I've never been on Twitch. I've never put any videos on there or did anything. And so, wow. Got some on Twitch. You got this one, this Iron Mouse. It's called Just Chatting, and he's got 8,900 live viewers. Look at all of these. Wow. 3,000 live viewers. 4,800. Wow. There's lots of people doing stuff on this. So maybe this could be a good thing. I'd like to, okay, let me see my own channel here. See, I got one viewer. I got one viewer, but I'm just, this is my first time. I got 0 followers on, this Twitch, but hopefully it'll grow, so anyway, so pray for that, you guys, that'll be something good to be on Twitch. Hopefully. I tried to get on Twitter, but with Twitter you gotta go to a professional thing or something, and it's going to cost money. So yeah, I know. And I know a lot of guys actually do the TikTok thing, and I've tried. You got to get this RTMP number and do all this stuff, and I've tried. I haven't been able, but I'll keep on trying, and maybe it'll work. So here, son of Jabir isn't sure whether he was left 7 or 9 orphaned. Is that the guy that Muhammad tells him, hey, did you marry a virgin or a matron? He says a matron. He says, why didn't you marry a young girl so she could play with you? Show you the kind of character Muhammad was. Shows you what he was. You know, that's one of the most telling stories about Muhammad's character, that story. Yeah. Yes. So, yeah, my father died and left behind 7 or 9 daughters, and I married. So it wasn't even his daughters. It was his sisters actually, and so he married this woman to help take care of him. And he seemed happy with her and everything. But Muhammad said, "Hey, why don't you marry a young girl so you could play with her?" It's just like, what kind of can you imagine someone saying that? You know, how disgusting, and yet they excuse it. You know. Yep. So, all right. Well, all right, you guys. Well, yeah, I just wanted to kind of do a short thing. I was kind of hoping that our friend Muslim from India would have come on, but hopefully, maybe tomorrow he will. We'll keep on trying. Um, Problem. What time is it in India right now? Right now it's 12:18 p.m. Monday. 12:18 p.m. Monday. So it's actually 11 hours difference. Almost 11 and a half hour ahead. So oh yeah, and Sajid Sajid, I don't know, he never comes up, but man, that guy is so cruel. He's so cruel. It's really sad to see someone be that way, to be so angry and so hateful, and unless he's just what's the word? Just a troll and just saying that stuff for attention. But you can't even talk like that. You shouldn't even talk like that because you keep talking like that. There's life and death in the power of the tongue. And yeah, but man, he's been doing this for a couple of years though. I mean, um, you know, God has a red line, and he keeps pushing that boundary. I hope he repents soon. So, all right, you guys. Well, shoot, that was kind of what I wanted to talk about, a little bit about what Fakhreddin Razi says. Let me see if I could find that other thing, Fakhreddin Razi. Let me see if I could find that. He's the one who says that if Allah was to do something like that, um, he says you can never trust anything. That you can never be sure uh, that you married the woman you thought you married, because Allah could play that trick, of changing your appearance, and so. Well, all right, you guys. Well, made it 50 minutes, and so I appreciate you guys hanging around, and those are my candy canes. Here's Pinky. So if you haven't done it, please do it now. Jesus, help me. Jesus, forgive me. Jesus, come into my heart. Jesus, help me. Jesus, forgive me. Jesus, come into my heart. يسوع ساعدني. يسوع سامحني. يسوع ادخل قلبي. We love you, but much more importantly, he loves you. Thank you for being with us, and have a great night.
If you have ever wondered why dull apologists lie so much, it's because on a rare occasion that they tell the truth, this happens.
One of the reasons I accepted Islam was the scientific miracles. I'll be honest with you. And now we know that this whole scientific miracles was absolute nonsense.
You're going to have to repeat that.
That the standard narrative has holes in it. That's what I'm going to say.